Columbia, my country, dost thou hear? Ah, dost thou hear the songs unheard of time? Hark, for their passion trembles at thine ear, for thou shalt be leader of nations through the autumn gales that wait to mock the strong and wreck the free. Lo, clan on clan, the embattled nations gather to be one, clasp hands as brothers neath Columbia's shield, upraise her banner, the shining sun. Along her blessed shore, one heart, one song, one dream, man shall be forevermore, and love shall be supreme.
I would love to see a United States of America again, much like it was when our goddess watched over us. She was a symbol of peace, freedom, a protector, and a warrior. Happy 4th of July, everyone. It's her day after all.
One of the things that I love about living in the District of the Goddess is that it's the District of the Goddess. And this is something that prior to the Civil War, pretty much every American knew. And largely since the Civil War, or since that era, pretty much nobody knows.
And here they are, the next generation of America, marching proudly down the mall this morning.
What's up, everyone? We'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Question the Narrative. I got my buddy Sean with me again with Lit Path Ministry, and we're just going to continue discussing just kind of what we've been doing in the last few videos. We were briefly discussing the Columbian Ode in the last part. And so if this is the first time you're coming here, I suggest you go back to the first video, which would be the Destiny of Columbia, which kind of introducing this whole idea that we're talking about today. So if you hadn't watched from the first video, the third one may kind of seem a little weird, so you might want to catch up. So do you want to say anything about that as well, Sean?
I've noticed that there was some confusion on the last video, and just keep in mind, we're seeking truth. We're just talking about ideas that we've come up with, things that make sense in this time. And since we don't necessarily have all the tools or all the information, we're just digging in. This shouldn't offend anyone. This should actually just give you more ideas, make you want to dig into the word. This should make you think, oh, I remember reading a verse that might tie into that. Feel free to post that in the comments. We're here to find the truth just like you guys. So if you find this topic interesting, then yeah, you really should watch the first two videos and probably the plumed serpent video that came out before that, because I think it sets up this whole thing. So no, I'm just here to talk it out with you, brother, like we do, and hopefully good ideas come from that.
Yeah, and so like I said, I'm just putting the information out there for other people to look into, because I'm just one person, and once I put it out there, people can just look into it and they could probably make more connections that I can't make as well, and we just all kind of feed off each other in a sense. And so that's the whole purpose. And so I'm just going wherever the information is leading. This isn't to disparage females, if that makes sense. It's just,
it shouldn't. The truth, just the discussion of truth should not offend anyone.
Yeah, and because me, like I was telling you before we came on, I've been married 14 years now, and I love my wife, and I would do anything for her. You know what I'm saying? And so true biblical Christianity cherishes women. Women, it says they are the weaker vessel, but I don't think that means lesser,
Differently.
Yeah, exactly. Because men and women are supposed to, would you say, like, complement each other in a sense?
Yeah, we fulfill different roles, and we have different skills and strengths and weaknesses. And so when you have a good team, you have a great wife, or you have a good marriage, you just complement each other, and that's how it should be. So open discussion is part of that. You have to be honest about our strengths and our weaknesses. And, I don't think that should never offend anyone if you're honest with yourself.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to just get that out there and say that just because it's not meant to offend anyone in that way. I'm just trying to present the information the best way that I can, in a sense that still fits in line with biblical values, or just biblically in general, I should say.
Exactly.
But do you have anything that you want to say before we hop into the ode, or do you want to just?
I hope everyone enjoys this discussion as much as the last few, and I hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, because this one, this segment that we're gonna do right now, it's gonna be pretty lengthy, and there's just a lot to digest, and so I'm probably gonna have to go over this again myself, because there's probably a lot that even there's last couple of conversations that we had, I kind of went back and I re-listened, and even I kind of got some nuggets that you had said that I didn't even notice before. It like just went over my head, because it's just, I don't know, it's just like sometimes you miss things, but yeah, let's just hop right into it then. Like we said, if you hadn't listened to the last episode, you should go do that, because we're kind of starting probably a third of the way down, would you say?
I'd say about a third.
Okay. So yeah, we'll just hop right into it. So what do we say? Get your steak knives out.
Get your steak knives. This is meat.
That's right. Okay. Oh, strange divine surprise. Out of the dark man strives to rise. And also, bro, just stop me, because I'm with my side with this, but then you got your notes. So just stop me if you want to, just whenever. Just interrupt me. I don't care.
Fair enough.
Alrighty.
Let's go.
Okay. And struggles inch by inch with toil and tears, till lo, God stoops down from his supernal spheres and bears the glory of his face. What do you have about that?
So I was kind of struck by the supernal spheres, and I wasn't really able to come up with what that could mean. But I do recall there are a lot of imagery from the millennial reign. It looks like them holding like that sphere with like a little cross on top. They kind of make fun of it in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and they call it the Holy Hand Grenade, right? What was that thing? And I'm wondering if that's what they're referencing here, but I don't know what that thing was supposed to be. But I will tell you at the beginning where it said, "Oh, strange divine surprise," it's almost like they were surprised that they were going to get a little season to come out and deceive. That out of the dark man strives to rise, like out of the darkness of all their caves and all their hiding, that they get to be out in the light now, and they get to do this thing in the daylight. And it almost is like they're taunting God to act like, oh, well, we're gonna strive to get out of this darkness until God, stops with whatever he's doing to come deal with us. That's kind of how I read that part.
Right. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, these things are everywhere, and I looked into them a while back, like probably 2 or 3 years ago when I first started getting into like all this old world technology and stuff. I don't know what these are, but in a lot of the Byzantine era, like mosaics and paintings, they're always like holding it. They're like holding it and like doing some kind of weird. I don't know, but you see a lot of imagery of God or Jesus or the saints like kind of playing with this ball. It doesn't always have a cross on it, but often it does. And I haven't looked into it recently to remember what it's supposed to be, but I just thought that was an interesting thing to mention. So this thing must have some kind of significance to the narrative.
Right. You ready to keep going?
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty. Here we go. Then darkness flees afar. This earth becomes a star. Man leaps up to the lofty place. The earth becomes a star.
Yeah, I sort of, my notes were just Revelation 29, where fire consumes him and maybe the whole earth. It's like they're just waiting until it all burns.
Yeah. Did you read some of those lyrics of that one blasphemous song, right? That I had posted from the BioShock.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of reminds me of. It's just like really cocky. So I was talking with my family yesterday, and just after looking at all that, I was wondering, because at first I thought, well, maybe Satan is that deceived, which obviously he is deceived, that he thinks that he can beat God. But then after like reading some of this, even those lyrics, it's almost as if they know they're going to lose, but they don't care.
Yeah.
And just like we talked about in the last episode, what was it? Deathless is truth or something like that.
Yeah. It's like they know they've made a decision that's going to lead to their death, and they don't care. They're proud of it. I mean, this is just pride and hubris right here.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
It's a doubling down, it seems.
It is. We ask a little, all is given. We seek a lamp, God grants us heaven.
I mean, this, we ask a little and all is given. It's like they don't ask, they just take what they want. And they see enlightenment and illumination as being better. See, Lucifer promises all, but only gives them the earth to convert to their heaven, because they're never going to see heaven again.
Exactly. Been cast out.
Cast way out, yeah.
So these who dare to pass beyond the pale, for an idea tempting the shrouded seas, sought but Cathay. God bade their faith prevail to find a world, blessed his purposes.
So beyond the pale is an old reference for a fence or boundary, and it means doing something that's socially unacceptable or immoral behavior. So they're telling you that they're brave enough to go beyond the pale. They're brave enough to do these socially unacceptable and immoral behaviors. And it felt to this shrouded sea is almost a Marine Kingdom reference. Like the sea might have hid secrets or land they had never seen before, like America. Especially if they don't know the shape of the realm after Pangea was broken up. If you subscribe to that idea that during the judgment of the second coming that Pangea was broken up, they might not even know what the shape of the realm looks like, and they had to wait till they were loosed 1,000 years later. And like I said in the last video, I don't think Christopher Columbus knew what he was going to find, because they sought but Cathay being an old word for China. So are they looking for India, or are they looking for China? Because in this poem, it said that they're looking for both. They didn't care which, I don't think. And it said that God bade their faith prevail, which means they were seeking something and they found something, right?
Yeah. It seems so. They found the land of the plumed serpent.
They found yeah, exactly.
The hero knew not what a virgin soul laughed through glad eyes when at her feet he laid the gaudy trappings of man's masquerade. She who had dwelt in forests heard the roll of lakes down thundering to the sea, beheld from gleaming mountain heights 2 oceans playing with the lights of eve and morn. Ah. You want me to keep going?
No, so I have some notes in here about how they're talking about lakes coming down and thunder. Mm-hmm. Like, was that the mud flood? Are they describing, something, and hiding in their high places, like caves and forests, like the mystery schools hiding in the lofty places and in the groves? It just sounds like they're referencing their old life and how excited they are to bring that to this new found world.
You know what? I wondered too, because could this be right here where it's saying she who had dwelt in forests? Wasn't Diana a huntress, and wasn't she always in the forest too, or am I just imagining that?
Was it Diana? I don't remember, but yeah, there is one of these deities is known as like kind of a great huntress, but then wasn't that also what Nimrod was called?
Yeah, but I'm just saying right here it's saying she.
Well, yeah, but if we're to assume that they just like to invert all things, there's no reason why we can't have a huntress. If we're going to have Nimrod the great hunter, then we might as well have a she huntress as well, right?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, why not? As they say, when in Rome.
Yeah, wear a woman's toga, apparently.
Yeah. Okay, so what would she with all the worn-out pageantry of purple robes and heavy mace and crown? Do you think the purple robes could be like the scarlet of the whore of Babylon?
Well, they mocked Jesus with purple. Remember, they put a purple robe on him and called him a king and made fun of him. And whenever you sort of see, to me, I read this whole thing, and what this sounded like to me is like they were sick of the worn out pageantry, which is like the old world millennial reign pageantry, and the purple robes and the heavy mason crown. They're basically throwing away all signs of
They're
fealty.
sick of that society.
They're sick of kings. They're sick of that whole. To them, it's worn out. They would rather choose illumination and knowledge than the beautiful purple pageantry of, submitting to a king, the king. And this whole stanza here just looks to me like they're just saying how much they hated all that. They're glad it's gone. They're throwing it down. They're going to smash it under their feet, and they're going to move forward with illuminating the world with knowledge instead of with pageantry of old kings. So this is another one of those big,
slap in the
middle
face.
fingers to the Lord. Yeah. Middle finger to the millennial reign.
Smiling, she cast them down, unfit her young austerity, of hair unbound and strong limbs, bare and brown.
So unfit for young austerity, I sort of looked into that a little bit. And it's basically saying that she's a new goddess and she's casting away heavy crowns and royal clothing because they don't match her simple, natural, vibes and good feeling lifestyle. That whole hippie, let's just have love, brother. We don't need a king over us. And her unbound hair and her strong, she's just like, her hair is down, her arms are out and ready to rule, and she's got a tan, right?
Yeah.
And ready to rule.
That's kind of like the whole Wonder Woman thing that I had just posted too, where it's basically she has all the best attributes of all the gods, apparently, right?
And her name is literally Diana.
It's Diana.
Yeah.
That
couldn't be any more clear.
That floored me because I'd never been a watcher of the comics or anything like that. So that was my first thought. I was like, what is her name? And then when I found it was Diana, I said, you got to be kidding me, right?
Yeah. I wasn't a big comic book kid either. And I didn't really even like any of these movies, but I did see the first Wonder Woman movie with Chris Pine. And they kept calling her Diana. And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Like, is she really being like Diana the goddess? Like, is that what we're doing here? But apparently, yes, that's literally what they meant. And so I think most of those superheroes in that whole universe of superheroes, they're all probably some fallen angel or some demon of some kind, like a name for name. There's probably a real entity that on the back end of that idea.
I know. It really brought to light a new just line of thinking, like basically what you just said. After I'm like, okay, so if they did it with her, then it's almost like they're putting out their little prophetic thing and they got their little Avengers that are gonna whatever.
Oh yeah, and have humanity worship them because they're the only ones that can save them, blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it in the reverse of what they portray it as in the movie, right? It's always inverted.
Always inverted.
Okay, so we'll continue. Yet they who dare arise and meet her stainless eyes forget old loves, though crowned queens these be, and whither her winged feet fare, they follow, though death be there. So sweet, so fleet, so goddess pure is she.
They're just worshiping the feminine here.
Yeah.
It's, brave enough to look into the eyes of destiny, take over the millennial reign, ignore the old rules, ignore the millennial kingdom. It's freedom taking time, right? It's time to earn back. And I thought it was weird that they said she had winged feet because that's such a Mercury. What is it? Mercury, what's he called in the Greek? But it's almost like they're saying that even that is a female goddess with winged feet.
Yeah, because I was looking in, I think it's in Isaiah, and I thought that those were cherubs, but I think in Isaiah 6, those are seraphim, and those are the ones that got 6 wings, and they got 2 on their feet that cover their feet, 2 that cover their face, and then the other 2 they fly with.
Face and their body, basically showing reverence for the Lord, hiding themselves from how holy the light must be.
Yeah, so those are seraphim, but I think cherubs just, which if you kind of go back to Ezekiel 28, which I was kind of looking through it again yesterday, you familiar with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in Ezekiel 28, it's talking about the anointed cherub that covereth. That's Satan.
Yeah, I think so too, because the Bible describes him in so many different places, and sometimes subtle, sometimes not so subtle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think he was a cherub, and probably one of the most powerful ones, and the prettiest, most beautiful one ever made.
That's
But
what I'm saying.
he still coveted. He still coveted what the Lord had, right? What the Lord
Mm-hmm.
was.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think he, as you said, because it even says in there that he was magnified because of his beauty or something like that. So
Exactly.
that just tells.
And she's doing the same thing. Is she not saying here how beautiful and sweet and
Yes,
lovely she is?
that's
Yeah.
what
So
she's saying.
she's just, I'm willing, I will
So
again.
sweet, so fleet. Ah, right.
Yeah.
So dreamy.
Look how beautiful am
I
I.
know. Okay. Her voice is like deep rivers that do flow through forests bending low. Her step is softest moonlight that doth force the ocean to its course. What do you
So
think about
obviously,
that?
as soon as you say her voice is like deep rivers, every time God speaks, it always says it's like many waters.
That's right.
So she's trying to sound like the Most High. Like, listen to me. My voice is also deep like rivers, and they do flow.
Yeah. So there, right?
So yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's almost like a toddler or something. That's just,
It's like a teenage girl that just got out of school, and
yeah, that still just wants to be like the Most High, but will never be.
you've got the moonlight worship. You've got the moon worship here, and
Mhm.
that moon references with respect to a goddess almost always go hand in hand.
Yeah. Her step is the softest moonlight. Exactly. That doth force the ocean to its course. Is that nonsense about the tides?
Yeah, so that's that false narrative that the moon somehow controls the oceans, and that's the beginning of the globe Earth.
Dude, that's crazy if you think about it, because that's the whole like goddess connection again, plus the globe. It's tied into the globe.
The globe and the Earth and science, all that stuff began long before they started pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
Little subtle mentions of how a goddess really moves the moon, and the moon is what moves the ocean. Don't you know that?
Exactly. Check this. Gentle her smile for something in man's face. World-worn, time-weary, furrowed deep with tears, thrills her chaste heart with a more tender grace. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. Again, it just seems to me like she's sympathetic to man's suffering, the suffering of having to live under a king during the millennial reign. And, I have a more tender heart. My grace is more tender. Come to me. You won't have to live under these kings anymore.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of portrayals of her where she's kind of like reaching out in a sense to
like a loving mother. Like, don't you want to come to me? Isn't your mother more nurturing than your father? Don't
So
you
you
want a
got
mother figure? Yeah. Come,
that,
child.
and like you said, with the Phrygian cap.
With the Phrygian cap of freedom, you're no longer a slave. Come be bathed in my stars and stripes.
I've been looking at a lot of those political photos and stuff with her, and she's portrayed like that a lot, where she's just even reaching out to the little children. And what's crazy is these certain clips that I was watching of the Wonder Woman, she's just this loving, oh no, and they're like the children, and she's like, I have to go, and it's just like this whole like, I choose love. It's like, okay,
Yeah, my grace is better.
yeah, no way. Okay. Softly she smooths the wrinkles from his brow, wrought by the baleful years. What's baleful?
So it's threatening harm, menacing, or expressing malicious intention. So when something is like wrought on by the baleful years, like, the 1,000 years of oppression that you had to live under, I am here to smooth the wrinkles from your brow, right? Mama Boss Babe Columbia will soothe your sorrows, basically.
Got you.
And this is that give me you're weak, you're tired, you're needy, blah, blah, blah. That whole stupid, this is just more of that. It's more of just begging, come to me, I will take care of you.
Yeah. Smiles sunshine on the whore head, whispers low new charges from the awakened will of truth. Words all of fire that thrill his soul with youth. Do you have something to say about that?
Yeah. So obviously, you know what a hoary head is, right? That's, a
Like
man of age.
Yeah, like
Gray hair.
Gray hair, yeah.
Yeah, gray hair. So it's like basically it's a message to the old, weary, gray, wise people. She whispers that there's a new world order coming and that they will be illuminated in truth, and that Lucifer's fiery words will thrill the evil foot soldiers and invigorate them with hope. That's basically the notes I had on that one.
Yeah, I think that's pretty, it's talking about new charges from the awakened will of truth. Yeah, because it's just like we were even talking about in the last episode about how there was like a little stanza in this too where it just was as if they can come out in the open now, like all the mystery schools are free to come out in a sense.
Don't have to hide anymore. Do it in the daylight.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Not with his brother is man's battle here, the challenge of the earth that Adam heard. His love austere breathes in his eager ear.
So this, not with his brother is man's battle here, literally just twisting scripture that they wrestle not against flesh, but with God's holy angels, right? They're basically saying, let's not fight our brothers here. We also are going to fight powers and principalities, but God's loyal, right? The curse of the earth returned in the little season, basically the challenge of the earth
That's
that Adam heard.
Yeah, that's a good catch right there. I'm seeing that now.
And then his love austere breathes in an eager ear. It's just itching ears ready to hear the new thing, right? It's just twisting of scripture, or it's, hubris, basically.
And lo, the knight who warred at love's command and scarred the face of Europe sheathes his sword, hearing from untaught lips a nobler word, taking new weapons from an unstained hand. So does that mean that kind of like in the millennial reign where their weapons were taken away, so there's no blood, stained hand with the weapons, there was no war, but now they're taking up the sword again? Is that what it's saying?
Yeah, and lo, the knights who warred at love's command, basically, once they conquered Europe, because
loves, right?
Yeah, love's command, yeah.
That's interesting too, because that's really pushed tremendously in the culture today, is just love is love.
Yeah, just love. All we need is love.
Right.
The scarred face of Europe, it's like they just conquered Europe, so now it's Columbia's turn to enslave America, right? So that's why they've sheathed their sword. They've done all the warring they need to do.
They're just whipping everyone into shape. Isn't that what they're doing?
Yep, exactly.
That's what I get.
The whole taking of new weapons from unstained hand is like gathering unknown weapons from the remaining millennial reign kingdoms. Fight with whatever's laying around, axes or oars or mallets or, I don't think they had any weapons when they first started. So they just had to beat people over the head with whatever was laying around, until they started forming their own weapons again. And it just kind of seems like, taking weapons from unstained hand and then using axes or oars or mallets or spade, like they're just beating people with gardening equipment at this point. Like it's pretty sad. And that's a pretty pathetic thing it's brutal, but it's also kind of pathetic to boast that you just beat people with, gardening implements.
Yeah, it's really evil too. I'm sure it was very confusing at that time for a lot of people, don't you say?
On both sides. The people who had lived in the millennial reign, they knew what they had lived through, and I don't know the conditions of why they remained. I don't know why they didn't go with everyone else or what the rules were on that, but some people chose to stay behind or whatever. They had to be confused by these new, suddenly hordes, just barbarians coming to steal their land and beat them. And for the people coming out of the, I don't know where Satan got all of his people, but when they woke up and they were told, hey, we have to get on a boat and we have to go to some strange lands because there might be things to steal there. Those people didn't know. They were just as confused. It's like being
and
born
who
and being
who
shoved
even
into
thinks
war.
that to begin with?
Yeah.
Like that's not a thought in any of our heads.
No. It's just a weird thing it's a weird flex, and it's a weird thing to mention. but it just kind of shows like what the early war must have been like, or the early takeover, if they didn't even have weapons, right? But love said, go kill all these people and take their cities. Maybe they'll have
Love's
some gold or
command.
some, something laying around of value. I don't know. Gold rush, right?
Right. Man, it's crazy, bro. With axe and oar, with mallet and with spade, she bids the hero conquer, unafraid, though cloud veiled titans be his lordly foes. Spirits of earth and air, whose wars brook no repose.
So this one, like I say earlier, they're bidding these guys not to be afraid, and especially this one, through cloud veiled titans. I think in the last video we kind of mentioned that I think maybe these lands were veiled by clouds, or just unfindable until the millennial reign ended and the little season began. These lands were no longer cloud veiled. But I think a lot of people were afraid. They're like, there's no way I'm going to go into the millennial kingdom and start killing people and stealing stuff, because I know how powerfully, how terribly powerful they are, or they were. It's like they were still afraid that they were there. And she's like, even though it's cloud veiled, they might have had to sail through a lot of dark clouds to get to America. She said, don't be afraid. You can do this. The spirits of the earth and air,
Exactly.
they'll watch over you, right? We know who the spirits of the air is. We know who the prince of the power of the air is,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
just like that. Put your faith in her.
put your faith in her, and all the evil minions will watch over you.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, bro. I think that this was real the more that I think about it, and I think that's why there's so much drama around these wars. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's obviously, and not only that, but they're proud of it, and they're proud to talk about it. They're proud to talk about how it happened,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems obvious to me that they took all this very seriously, or they wouldn't have written this much words about it. And that people at this World's Fair that had to listen to this, they would have gotten something out of it. This would have been like, Hitler giving a speech to rally the Germans behind whatever thing he wanted to rally them behind. This is almost like this is like a rally. This is going to get people's blood pumped up. This is going to get people excited that they're a part of this, right?
Yeah,
It's
this is what got me too, on that video game that's kind of relating to her, and it says, "From Sodom shall I lead thee."
Yeah, when you showed me that, I was like, man, I'm not much of a video game playing guy either, but man, they just put nuggets everywhere, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not like they just guess evil things and stick them around.
No, they're
No,
on target.
they always have. It's very like, what game developer decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put a little silly thing in here and see if the Christians find it. Like,
I
why
know.
would you do that unless you're serving your Lord?
And look at that.
Yeah, I'd like to see a man hold a Liberty Bell up like that with one arm.
Forgotten country, right?
Oh yeah, it's disgusting.
Let's stay on track.
Yeah. We could talk about this stuff.
I know. So, for from far away mountain and plain, from the shores of the sunset sea, the unwearying rulers complain, and throng from the waste to defend their reign, their threatened majesty.
I mean,
Defend their
obviously,
reign.
I think they still encountered kingdoms that were trying to be loyal, kings that were still loyal to the millennial reign, even though the millennial reign itself may have come to an end, or there were changes. These guys were not willing to give up the land. They were not willing to give up their inheritance. And I mean, that goes all the way to World War One. I mean, World War One allegedly was started because they shot the king of Persia, or not the king of Persia. I'm sorry. They shot Prussia. They shot the king of Prussia. There were still kings in World War One. Before World War One, there were still kingdoms, and they were probably fairly still loyal to the millennial reign, and they had to be dealt with. And I think that's what this is referring to.
That's interesting to think about, because, you were wondering, like, well, why didn't they go? But there had to have been, there was some sort of weird, I don't know how it was with the transition, and these people just didn't know, oh, we're in that time when Satan's being released right now. Maybe.
It does seem that way, but I just find that hard to believe that they would just suddenly not know. And you can't empty tons and tons and tons of cities of their entire population without somebody saying, "Hey, where are we all going?" Oh, we're going back to Mount Zion. This time we're not coming back. So take what you need, and let's, for whatever reason, there were still people left behind.
See, bro, that's kind of what I was. I've kind of been thinking too. That what if, like, you got the city, and whether people think that it's still up or if it's down on a new earth in that little area of where Terra de Yeso is. But like, if there's some sort of camp outside the actual city, that you got people like us that are just waiting to be glorified or something, and they're there and they're still getting the leaves for the healing of the nations, and so they're living longer possibly, because they're not getting poisoned like we are,
poisoned and lied to, and yeah.
But it's just a thought I had, and then when you said that about like almost like a mass migration, and that's why all these cities were so empty in a sense.
I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, if the 1,000 years were going to end and people knew it, say, "Hey, we're going to lose Satan. Do you want to come with us in the camp of saints, or do you want to stay and try to defend your kingdom? It's up to you," right? Like I say, I don't know the rules or what went on, but I've been thinking about it, and might be something to dig into later. But but that's just kind of how it read to me. That there were still kingdoms trying to hold on to the millennial reign, and they didn't care. They were going to go. They were going to go and take them over anyway, even if they had to die, which, as
that's right there.
Earlier, they're not afraid of death. They don't care. They know their reward is from their dark lord.
Exactly. And then right there, the throng from the wastes to defend their reign. So it's almost like their city's already plundered in a sense, and then they're still gonna try to fight to the death in a sense. They're basically saying this is useless. This is our destiny.
Yep.
In a sense.
Yeah.
In a sense, for them to resist it in that sense. That's why they're saying, trust in her, because this is what we're doing.
Exactly.
It's interesting. The low prairies that lie abloom sigh out to the summer air. Shall our dark soil be the tomb of the flowers that rise so fair?
So to me, this seems like a threat. They're threatening to bury the remaining rulers of the millennial reign in their own lovely fields.
I mean, isn't that what they've done, though?
Yeah. I mean, that's what's coming for them. If you want to fight against them, you're going to just find yourself buried in your own flower garden.
Like I'm saying, it's weird. I keep thinking how we were talking about, like, even if there would be like some sort of beacon at some point in time, and if like there would be another Exodus or something, because I was listening to Miles talking about, what was it, the little book in Revelation, and he was kind of theorizing, what if that's like the little season, the time of the little season, because they don't tell you exactly what happened there. So
yeah, it's interesting. What the seven thunders uttered, we're not allowed to know, and what was in that little book.
I even made a post a long time ago. I'm like, what?
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was like,
it's
what
just like
were they saying?
There are still mysteries even for us, in the little season, and I feel like that's one of those things where I'm 50-50. There could absolutely be a day where we start to see Mount Zion, like the clouds just fall and we can start to see it. And like, wow, I've never noticed that giant mountain to the north before, right? And they can't hide it forever, right? If they're spraying our sky, if they're making it rain, if whatever they're doing, they're trying to hide it, they can't do it forever. Eventually, we'll see the northern lights every night. We'll see the mountaintop. We might even see the shining city on the hill. I don't know. But I would love that, because once we start seeing that, to me, that's a sign that either we're going to be invited or the whole thing is going to burn. Either way, I'll be happy.
Yeah. And honestly, just along that line, I would just say, just according to just how the Lord worked or has worked in the past, you know what I'm saying? Even with Sodom, how he brought his people out beforehand, in a sense. Does that make sense? And so I've like even wondered, which it sounds crazy, but because like you said, there's still some mystery, but what if there's stuff that possibly has been written that we maybe we just never got it, or we don't know about it, that like possibly like us are fulfilling now in this time, and we don't even know it, but we're just fulfilling that now, in a sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you can't deceive everyone. So somebody had to figure out that we're in the little season, and that person had to tell others, and those people are telling others. So this is obviously part of it toward the end. Otherwise, it wouldn't even be mentioned in the Bible that we're going to live through this. So I'd like to think that there is another book for us. I'd like to see what that little book is, if it relates to what we're going through now. I have a suspicion, though, that the seven thunders were basically uttering the arrival of the kingdom, and all are subjected, and here's what's going to happen. We're about to take over. That's what I think the seven thunders were announcing, the coming of the kingdom. And I think he was told to shut that up because we would not be deceived in this little season had that been so blatantly written in the Bible that it had already come to pass. That's my thought. I don't think anyone else shares that opinion, but that could also be what's in the little book. The little book could also have been just how to start an earthly millennial reign. I don't know. But the book could also be look how beautiful the millennial reign was, and then look how it ends, though, with wars and with killings and with more children being offered to Moloch than ever before. It just seems to me like that's why it was sweet in the mouth, and then it was bitter in the belly. Once you digest it and you realize, well, we get to have this 1,000-year beauteous reign with our Lord and our King, but then when it ends, there's suffering bitter. And there's deception. Yeah. So that's how I kind of looked at those two things. And on one hand, I'm kind of glad I don't know those mysteries, because it's one of those things that it almost gives hope that you don't know what the mystery is, because God's ways are not our ways. And so we know that there's something so big and better planned than what we're told. We just got to be faithful and patient.
It's crazy too. You think about it, even just these comparisons, even when the Lord was bringing the children of Israel out of Egypt, and I mean, they didn't know what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, they just were going off by faith, and they were basically with their back against the wall, and the Lord just miraculously delivered them.
And they still complained about the manna. Like, how are you going to get free food every day and still complain? You're literally following a pillar of smoke. You're following a pillar of fire that is your God and your creator, and you're still complaining. Man, if we had half those sightings, like if Nineveh had half the things done in them, right? That
exactly. Were done. They had repented in sackcloth and ashes.
Oh, they would have, yeah. So I think that's part of the beauty of the little season, is that we too are asked to show immense faith. Because we don't get these signs and wonders, we don't get these miracles. We don't
understand everything either.
Yeah. So just it's basically just you have to know God's thoughts, God's ways are not our ways, and He has this whole thing planned out. Obviously, and from the beginning, right? He knows what's going to happen. We're the ones just kind of on that boat ride, and hopefully we don't go over a cliff, right?
Yeah, I just think about how some of those like truther people, and it's more of like the Gnostic people. They're more like, belief is the enemy of knowing, and this and that. And I'm like, well, you guys believe some things. Like, you guys act like you don't have faith in anything. It's just
almost everything is faith, especially science, because unless you're a scientist and you can go do an experiment and prove a thing, you can't take that as truth just because 3 other guys told you it was. That's a religion in and of itself. Science is. It's faith. And all the people defending it don't even have any idea how it works. They just know, actually, Wikipedia and the science books say this, so therefore it's true. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't prove it, so you're trusting on faith.
Right. Let's continue on. So, shall we yield to man's disdain and nourish his golden grain? We will freeze and burn and snare. Bid him beware, beware. So is that just saying, watch out, because here we're coming?
Yeah, this whole section here is literally just warning all the rulers and all the kingdoms that we're coming for you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Move out of the way.
Yep.
That's right. It's crazy. It's very threatening language. And it's very fitting if you think about it, because the word of God specifically says when Satan is released that he's going to gather the nations together for what? To battle.
For war, yeah, always for
Yeah.
something nasty.
Yeah. And if you think about it, it's just been nothing but that for us. Even in my lifetime, it's like never ending, this war, that war.
I mean, as far as I can tell, if depending on when you think the little season started, it's been nothing but wars, instant wars,
Exactly.
nonstop war. And my whole life, there's never been a time where there wasn't freaking war everywhere.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's the same, and it's all the same places too. Like, how is there even stuff left to bomb? How are there any people left to kill? But somehow they're still doing it, or so they tell us, if it's even
Right?
real, you know?
I
But
know.
yeah, I think the millennial or the little season has been nothing but war on war on war nonstop.
And it's just prepping, building up more, artillery and more this or that.
Weapons and just the idea of, we have to defend, America's so proud, home of the brave and all that. Man, Colombia is definitely trying to whip up a massive, very proud, very loyal army.
Exactly. And that's one thing, bro. I was talking to my family last night, and it's just it's really serious in a sense, because it's I was just telling them, I'm like, we need to pray for the military. I think I said I'm kind of fearful for them in a sense, and what's so dirty is that they actually think that they're doing the right thing. That's what's so dirty about it. And a lot of them
Yeah.
are in there because they're just trying to provide a meal for their family or something like that. And so it makes that trickery to me so much more evil, and so that's why, like, in that post and stuff, that I was like replacing Columbia's name for Babylon, and it's just like, Lord, reward her double portion for what she gave, reward her double.
Oh, they're gonna get. They're definitely gonna get it.
Exactly. It's pretty heavy, bro. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
That's how great the deception is. And the forests, heavy and dark and deep, with the shadows of shrouded years. There we go. In
Yep.
a murmurous voice out of age-long sleep. Ooh. Ask the winds, what creature rude would storm our solitude?
Yeah. So this is interesting because it's all of this is about waking up from the 1,000 years of banishment so that they can claim their liberty and their freedom. You've got all this imagery here about, dark and shrouded years and age-long
Age-long
sleep.
sleep.
Yeah. And then ask the winds, right? The four winds, the four quarters of the earth. Ask them who would be so rude as to storm what we're about to do,
Our
because
solitude.
yeah, I think they know they're alone down here, and it was mentioned earlier in this
They're
poem. I didn't.
trapped. They're trapped now that,
Well,
that
they're
they've been
trapped,
cast
but
out. They have
they
nowhere to
had
go.
mentioned that their wars brought no rebuke from the Lord. It was like 5 or 6 lines up. They were talking about how they started these wars, and since they got no response from the Lord, they just assume that's a blessing or that they're allowed to continue. And
Oh, wow, that's deep.
you know
I
what I'm
didn't think
saying?
of
So
that.
this
I didn't think of
and
that. That's crazy. Yeah.
and I didn't mention it earlier because I know we're trying to get through this thing because it's pretty
hmm
long. But this is the second verse like that has basically said the same thing. That, well, if God's not going to do anything about it, I guess we're free. I guess we're free range now. We can just do whatever we want. And I think that's what this is referring to again.
Do you think they know generally when they're going to make their move?
I think, well, for one thing, I don't think they have any idea how long this is either, because I've noticed it's like
It's like they're trying to drag it on too.
they're trying to well, they're definitely trying to drag it on because the longer they drag it on,
It
they
it
don't they don't
preserves
have to
their own
burn.
lives.
Yeah, they get to build their evils bigger and bigger, and I don't think they have any more idea than anybody else. And like I say, I think
That's
they've been
interesting.
pushing this outer space narrative for so long. I think they keep thinking it's sooner than it is. And I don't think they are going to be the ones that decide when they're going to go up and do the war, when they're going to surround the camp of the saints. they're going to be forced into it. Something's going to happen. Like I said, like the mountain's going to start to be visible. The northern lights are going to be everywhere. There's going to be something that they can no longer hide their
with
deception.
all their magic. Yeah, their spells are broken.
They're all failing. So what they're left with now are physicality, right? Like they're left with weapons. They're left with technology because the deceptions aren't really working. People are waking up. And even if people that aren't waking up, they don't care. Nobody wants to go do war. Nobody's going to join the military to go do a bunch of stupid warring. You know, I feel bad for the guys that are already in. And like you said, a lot of them, they want free college. You know, they just want to feel like they've done something, but they want to give a good life for themselves. You know, it's always like poor kids from West Virginia. You know, all the
They'll
kids
just
that
go
end
in
up
there
the
so they
military,
could have a retirement or something.
so they can have a retirement, so they can have a place to live, so they can have food. You know, a lot of the kids end up in the military. They don't really want to do that, but they have nowhere else to go. And they've made this economy so crappy that most people don't have anywhere to go. And that's a place that they will be guaranteed food and clothing. You know what I mean? That's what they promise. So I think you're right. The deception's even worse because they've made people think that they're being patriotic and that they're fighting for their brothers and sisters and moms and dads back home when they're not. They're just fighting for Lucifer. And it's a shame because a lot of these kids really do. They have pride and they have loyalty.
Watch, I was looking at this today, bro, and just like what you're saying, like these poor people, but this is like a real video of like someone with shell shock and something that, you know, it's just like they're so disposable, or we're so disposable in a sense to them, and they just throw people away like they're nothing, right?
Yeah.
And they're just usable tools for their evil agendas.
You got to get along and go along with the gang or you end up in a pit. You know, they don't care which way you go, either help or die.
Yeah, and that was another like that wide-eyed kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that this guy was talking about, and it's just crazy because that's just like a real thing, and it's just really it's traumatizing. You know what I'm saying? It's very traumatizing.
Yeah. And this poem, they're proud of it, and they're boasting about how they'll send men to their death. They don't care. We're going to do this thing and die or live. We don't care, but we're going to do it.
It's brutal, man.
It's very brutal.
Okay, let's continue. Hath his soul no fears, no tears? The prone rivers lift up their snow-crowned heads, arise in wrath from their rock-hewed beds, and roar, we will ravage and drown, ere we float his white ships down.
They have no fear in warring and raging and killing.
It's just a complete... It's a takeover. It's a vicious takeover. Violent takeover.
Vicious takeover, yeah.
Yeah. And the lakes from a mist of amethyst. I thought that was interesting because for whoever doesn't know, amethyst, it's like a purplish color. What did you say about that? Or do you want me to read a little bit more before you comment?
Yeah, well, go ahead and read a little bit more. But this, I think, is this not one of the colors of the 12 foundations?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. It's one of the colors of the foundation of the city too. Call the storm clouds down and grow ashen and brown, and all the four winds wail. Our gales shall make him quail. By blinding snow, by burning sun, his strength shall be undone. These men in league with these, brothers of wind and waste, hew barbs of flint and darkly haste from sheltering tents and trees, and mutter, away, away, ye children of white-browed day, who dares profane our wild god's reign? We torture and trap and slay. Wow.
This whole section right here is just it's just an abomination.
Yeah.
They're even mocking the four winds, like, oh, you can watch us go slay and kill, and there's nothing you can do, right?
Yeah.
And these men that are in league with these, like, I mean, they're saying the white browed basically is the pure children of light, the illuminated, the morning star. Who dares to challenge the light of Lucifer for the little season reign, right? And if you question it, we torture, trap, and slay. And they've said something similar earlier up there. It was like, we maim and kill, and I forget what they said, but basically they're just going to
torture, trap, and slay. Yeah.
Yeah. Just repeat this torturous
process until it's all
Like, oh, how if
Hey,
you
you know what this reminds me of? So it's almost like a reverse of what the Lord did to all of his kingdoms, where he subdued it under his own feet. You know, Jesus subdued it under his feet. And then so now Satan's doing the exact opposite. And he's
the
like,
opposite,
well,
yeah,
I'm
by
going to
torture.
subdue it under mine, in a
Yeah,
sense.
who dares profane me in this little, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the stick, not the carrot this time.
Yeah. No kidding. Child of the light, the shadows fall in vain. Herald of God, in vain the powers conspire. So what's interesting, I think, so this, how they're saying Herald of God, it's almost as if Columbia has deceived the prophetess that she is sent from God or something. And in a
Yeah,
sense, Columbia is like the prophetess goddess in a sense too, I kind of take.
yeah. The herald of God is typically refers to Hermes and Mercury. Remember earlier I was trying to figure out what the other name was, and this is the second time that they've basically paralleled her with Mercury and Hermes, right? With the winged ankles, the winged feet. Well, the herald of God specifically always referred to Hermes and Mercury. So this statement here just is one more thing that proves that they are now saying she has taken over as the herald of God. She's now the messenger of their God
Mm,
to these poor people that are left over from the millennial reign. That she now has the power from her God, and that her reign, her time, by will of her God.
mm-hmm. Let's
And
continue.
yeah,
Oh, did you want
I
to
was going
say
to say
something?
that, yeah, because the next couple of lines basically kind of re-emphasize that.
Okay. Armed with truth's holy cross, faith's sacred fire, though often vanquished, he shall rise again, nor rest till the wild lords of earth and air bow to his will, his burdens glad to bear. What do you think of that?
Well, I think there's a lot of twisting of scripture right there.
Yeah, I know.
He was vanquished, often vanquished, right? But he rose again, and he won't rest until all of the powers and principalities are under him, right?
The wild
His
lords.
Yeah, all the wild earth and air lords. Well, apparently his will, his burdens, they'll be glad to bear. And Jesus said his burden is very light.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like these burdens are going to be very light, but they're going to be glad to bear it one way or the other.
Yeah. Wow. The
It's just
angels,
more twisting of the scripture.
it is. The angels leave him not through the long strife, but sing large annals of their own wild life, luring him on to freedom on that field. From giants won, shall man be slave to man? What does that mean?
On the
Man
field that they took from giants, are they retaking back the promised land there? The Canaanites reclaiming their land?
from the angels leave him not through the long strife. Hmm.
Yeah, in my notes, I have that they took the lands from the Nephilim and the offsprings in the Old Testament, and now they're saying they're taking it from the glorified saints in the millennial reign. If we're to assume that the glorified saints were bigger, the sort of giants.
What do you think that is? Shall man be slave to man?
Well, this is just another way of saying we're not going to, we don't wrestle against flesh, right? We're going to give everyone liberty, but you got to fight. You got to fight the millennial reign. You got to fight the old guy, the old king.
So this next little paragraph, this is the one that I kind of floored me at first, because you'll see why. Lo, clan on clan, the embattled nations gather to be one, clasp hands as brothers neath Columbia's shield, upraise her banner, the shining sun. So, just in case anyone doesn't know, her banner, that's the American flag. So,
Yeah, I've been
there's
calling
that.
it Nimrod's flag for the longest time, especially when it's fringe covered in churches.
Mhm.
But it's Columbia's cape.
It is.
It's her rally banner.
Yeah, she's a
So
superhero.
she's a superhero. This whole paragraph, though, like, again, shall man be slave to man? Lo, clan on clan. Like, let's not fight amongst ourselves the way the Israelites did. Let's not fight man on man the way, let's all embattled nations come together to be one so that we can hold hands as brothers.
It's like the whole Tower of Babel thing. And now even now, I should say the languages are unbabbled, because even you got technology that'll translate. So we have no language barriers today.
Exactly.
So we're in that same instance where, like when the Lord said that, what did he say? That they'll basically be able to do what their evil heart imagined to do, or something like that. I'm mixing it up.
No, you're right. You're just paraphrasing. Yeah, they will be able to do anything their evil heart imagines.
Yeah.
This raising her banner to the shining sun is just one more middle finger to the Lord, holding it up to the sun proudly and having everybody huddle beneath her. It's the same sort of language. It's on the Statue of Liberty. It's man, don't fight with each other. Wouldn't you rather just come together as one and fight the real oppressor, which is, this God, this king.
Yeah. And what's crazy is I even think about those old movies, like with Mel Gibson, and he's like the patriot and stuff. And you just think all of that was going on. And you just wonder at that time, like, was Columbia, which obviously it's looking like that, where it's like she's giving the orders in a sense.
Well, because people will say during the little season that, like, there's a hierarchy, so Lucifer's pulling the strings somewhere. Well, if there's a hierarchy, then there's got to be foot soldiers, and there's got to be leaders of those foot soldiers. And if there's a power and a principality, and I think that the earth has to be run with powers and principalities, and that it's a 1-for-1. So if Columbia has taken over as the power and principality over the country of the United States, then that's a real position. That's a real title of authority. And so obviously Lucifer has given her that right, if it's not himself. But obviously all of God's powers and principalities have been replaced with Lucifer's. And I think that's kind of what it's mentioning here.
How does that work out? Because, America is just basically a corporation, and we're tied to all this through our birth certificates and our social security numbers and all that. Like, is there a way to like renounce yourself from the corporation itself? Does that make sense? Like, because in a sense, it's like we're under that bondage in a sense.
There's two channels I kind of listen to occasionally that have come up with some pretty cool ideas. It's the Agape Law Center. I forget what they're called, but it's basically they're not a law firm, but they talk spiritual legality and things like this and how to get out from under those things. And I don't think we have to. I mean, I would like to go to the camp of the saints, but until I can, I'm going to have to live in Ohio, and I'm going to have to live in the United States. And just in order to function here, I have to have a driver's license. I have to pay tax when I buy stuff. There's a whole lot of things I just can't get out from under. And Columbia,
and I understand that too. And I think they've done that to us on purpose too, because
I also don't think it means anything. As long as you don't like worship it, give your allegiance to the flag and all that crap. You can be a citizen of a land and not necessarily go along with anything that place stands for.
Yeah, and in a sense, so like, I mean, I guess it could have like a dualistic meaning too when the Lord said, "Come out of her, my people," but he's like, you need to basically don't be, like, in a sense, what I would attribute that to today is come out of patriotism in a sense, and all that nonsense, and
come out of idolatry, come out of sin. Yeah. So I think you can live in a land. I mean, God made all this land. I live in a beautiful part of the world. And it's not my fault that when I was born, they poked the bottom of my foot, right? It's not my fault that they cut me as a small boy without my consent. I didn't know anything until I was 5 or 6 years deep into this beast system. So I think the come out of her is literally like, don't do their practices. Don't ask how they worship their gods. Don't partake in any of their nonsense. I think that's all we can do in this season. And I don't know that we're asked to do any more than that. I don't know that we could. The corporation of America is just for tax slavery and everything else. And it obviously is very Luciferian and has very evil connotations to it, but it's not what we're worried about in this little season. In fact, to me, none of that stuff matters. And they did that to me without my consent when I was a child. And I prayed off all the curses and hexes and whatever generational things I had, whatever legalistic things that maybe the powers and principalities of Ohio or this part of the world have on me. I've prayed all that stuff off as much as I can. And I think that's what we're to do. I don't think we have any other abilities other than that. And it doesn't matter anyway. The tax corporation of the United States, it won't matter when it's in flames. So none of that stuff matters to me. But I know why people are trying to pursue that. I don't think there's much we can do in that respect.
It's an interesting line of thinking that interests me enough to maybe pursue it to some degree. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was just wondering.
Yeah, no, I'm like I say, if we see the mountain, if we get a column, I'll absolutely leave this place, and I'll throw my driver's license out the window of the airship on the way there.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so let's continue on. Along her blessed shore, so that's America, obviously. One heart, one song, one dream. Man shall be forevermore, and love shall be supreme. It's like vomit to me.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? And I think I posted this somewhere. This reminds me, there was the rock band Queen. They have a song called One Vision. And they say this: one heart, one song, one true religion. Like it's like this has been the plan all along. And it's probably not the first time they've done this.
Isn't that crazy how it's all connected to patriotism too?
Well, that's the hook. That's how they get you is, love your land. If you want to fight for your land, right?
But it's like
not even our land.
And patriotism all in one. It's crazy.
Well, and I think they've learned a lot from their past experiences. I think I think God has dealt them very poor dealings in all of their, and so I think what they've decided is to do it a little different this time by making the pride part of the land, and that you will love the land and you will fight for the land. It's the home of the brave. And so of course you want to fight for your land. It's your inheritance, right?
You don't want to be a slave to the king again, do you?
No. But what's ironic is this isn't our land. They don't let us own it. Even if you own your own home, you still have to pay a property tax.
Exactly.
So
we don't own anything.
You're not fighting for your inheritance. You're fighting for their tax farm. You're fighting for their tax plantation that we're all slaves under. Yeah. That's ridiculous. But this is what they're doing. They're brainwashing people into fighting for their oppression.
Yeah, exactly.
But with love. So there'll be love in it. So you'll be loved, at least.
Yeah, love shall be supreme, at least.
Well, what that means is love shall be sovereign. When you say something is supreme, that's above what you worship. Yeah, love God above all.
It's like those people, like I was saying the last time, the people that take the God is love to the extreme. Like God loves everything, including all the abominations that you're supporting. Because I was born in a way like that, if you get what I'm saying. So, so it's just like, no, that's not love. That is wickedness.
That's oppression.
Okay, so let's continue. When dreaming kings, at odds with swift-paced time, would strike that banner down, a nobler knight than ever writ or rhyme, with fame's bright wreath did crown, through armed hosts bore it till it floated high beyond the clouds, a light that cannot die. What do you have about that?
Oh, the fame's bright wreath did crown. That's the crown of illumination, right? The wreath is traditionally of victory, like the laurel wreath. So obviously it's some kind of victory crown of illumination. All the armed hosts that they fought through, probably the remnants of the millennial reign, whatever was left.
It's kind of like that little crown above her hair right there too.
Yeah. And to me, this kind of looks like, I know it's got a big eagle head on top of it. it almost looks like one of those Roman legionnaire kind of a helmets, like a
Well,
battle helmet. Obviously, it's a little ridiculous because you wouldn't want big stars and stuff on your helmet. But yeah,
well,
I mean, she's like half mom, half battle witch
yeah. But
in
what's
her.
interesting too is that when you kind of get into the whole like where Columbia came from and stuff, it was specifically saying that it was going back to like romanticizing, going from the tribal to the, you know, romantic,
To the deity.
the Roman stuff and all of that too, right?
Well, it was obviously very attractive to the people back then. So why not resurrect what worked?
Right.
The goddesses of old.
Exactly. All right, let's head back. Ah, hero of our younger race, great builder of a temple new, ruler who sought no lordly place, warrior who sheathed the sword he drew, lover of men who saw afar a world unmarred by want or war, who knew the path and yet forbore to tread till all men should implore, who saw the light and led the way where the gray world might greet the day, father and leader, prophet sure, whose will in vast works shall endure. How shall we praise him on this day of days, great son of fame, who has no need of praise? That's crazy.
So this whole
That's
chunk right
insane, bro.
here, it's so much Lucifer praising, and I think they're calling mankind man, the younger race.
That's what I'm
Lu-
saying. It is.
Lucifer is the hero of man, right? He's the great
Mm-hmm.
builder of a temple new, which I don't think they're going to do. They're not going to build that third temple, but Satan definitely built himself. Lucifer's built himself a temple here, right? The whole world is basically
Mm-hmm.
a temple of idolatry to him. But they're just talking about how Lucifer is a friend to mankind. He's
Mm-hmm.
a friend and he's a warrior. He's a protector. The world unmarred by want or war. They're taking over the millennial reign. That was a land that had no want or war, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just going to take it over. And he knew his path, but he yet forbore. He knows his fate. It's already written in Revelation, so he continues to carry on this nonsense to go down a road leading mankind to destruction, just so he won't be alone.
Right.
And
And I was going to say real quick, because that word want, it's kind of like an uncommon word of how we would use it in today's word, if you will. And so isn't that just like a lack of stuff? They will want no thing. Their lack of want.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, it just seems like they're just describing a place that they're going to go defile that has up until
Mm-hmm.
now been clean. It
Right.
didn't have any suffering or warring, and we're going to bring them some.
What do you think about some of this bottom where it's saying father, leader, prophet, sure?
I mean, they're just calling Lucifer our new father. He's going to be our father in this little season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny to me that he doesn't need praise, but I think we all know Lucifer definitely wants praise. So is that some kind of humble brag? Like, I'm doing all this for you and I'm going to be the greatest thing ever. And you don't have to praise me, but do praise me,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Because the next line of the next stanza is, well, how shall we praise him? Oh, I don't want it. No, please don't praise me.
See, and I was kind of looking at it like, what if they're actually mocking Jesus in a sense too? I don't know. I don't know if that's what they're doing right there as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole thing, it's either a mild twist of scripture or it's a middle
Yeah,
finger to the Lord.
it's like, why do we need to praise the son of fame? I mean, everyone, why do we need to praise him? He needs no
Yeah,
praise.
we don't have to now because apparently he's gone and we can just war in his lands.
Yeah.
Right? There's no fear. It's a fearlessness, really, at that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like father, leader, prophet, sure. Because it's just, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's rare though for them to admit things like that, and I find especially in prose like this, whenever they say God, they're almost never talking about our heavenly Father.
Yeah. But if you even think about it, great builder of a temple new, and I'm just wondering, because even in that those lyrics that I posted where it's almost like it's Satan speaking, and it's like he's saying, I'm going to defile your holy place in a sense. So
Well, yeah, and
who's
just building a new temple is already an abomination because it was destroyed for a reason and it's no longer needed. So to build another one is it's just blasphemy. So he's the fact that they want to do it, and he's saying, "I'm going to build a temple to me, not to the Lord." Right? He's basically saying he's going to build one to himself.
it's almost, or so it's basically like almost like he's saying, I will do this, like how you're saying those I will claims
The
and
five
stuff.
I wills, yeah.
Yeah,
I will build myself a temple. I will be a ruler.
I'm
I
gonna
will be
do
the
this.
warrior.
Right.
I will love men, and it's basically I will be your God now, and I will be better.
I mean, yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see how that will play out. But
Well, it ends in fire, is my understanding.
yeah, I'm just saying the leading up until that point is what I'm saying, because we don't really have that detail. We know the ultimate end, but the leading up to that point is kind of where we are right now.
Got to keep your eye on Greenland and Canada, I think.
I think so too. I agree. All right, let's keep going. How shall we praise him? Open wide the doors of the fair temple whose broad base he laid. Through its white walls a shadowy cavalcade,
Cavalcade, yeah.
cavalcade of heroes moves o'er unresounding floors, men whose bronze arms upraised these columns high, and reared the towers that vanish in the sky, the strong who, having wrought, can never die. Or
To
so you
me,
think, right?
yeah, this whole thing sounds to me like they're trying to take credit for building the millennial reign buildings, right?
Mm,
They're saying we are the ones who raised these towers and we built this great wide base, right? This is just the 33-degree
mm.
Masons.
That's an
We built
interesting
this.
take.
We are going to
Yeah.
put our stupid plaque on these buildings that we didn't build. So this is just taking credit for buildings that they had nothing to do with.
At that time too, you think, because you got all their little statues and stuff on like the way top of these buildings, that you think that's when they were like repurposing the old buildings and putting all their little idols on top of them and everything.
I don't think they ever stopped. I think they still do it to this day when they find new things or if they have to do a construction. I think they send teams in to make sure there's nothing weird that can be found, right?
Mm.
Like down here where I live, we have such beautiful buildings in this part of Ohio, old world beautiful buildings, but they've ripped all the beautiful stuff off. They've ripped all the statues off. They've taken all the gold. They've pulled all the tech off the top. It's just they've just defaced and defiled these buildings that they claim to have built, and then they put these cheesy Masonic cornerstone plaques claiming they did this and they did that, and it's disgusting to me.
I think that another part of the wars too is just an excuse to just blow everything to smithereens too.
Yeah,
And you think about it, the way that these buildings, because I mean, you've seen them in person, right? And touched them and been around them and stuff. I mean, it's like,
yeah. About probably 2 3 years ago, I mean, I went hardcore on digging into all these old world buildings, and
yeah,
like I say,
me too.
I live amongst some of the most beautiful towns in Ohio. And for instance, Athens, Ohio has one of the most beautiful sets of buildings on these beautiful hills, and it's right on the river. It's just so gorgeous, and they've turned it into a college town, so it's nicer than most of the other towns around
Mhm.
this area. But even then, you can tell that they've absolutely just destroyed and made everything look so boring. They've taken all the glory and beauty off of it. And I
But
think
you know,
they're,
it's funny in Columbia's district. I'm gonna start saying it backwards.
you should, yeah.
I am in Columbia's district, the district of the goddess, like that one guy said that I showed you. Um, they got all the buildings there still, a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I don't know how, if they've moved some of the roads to make it look like a pentagram, because, you know, all these people will tell you that Columbia's district it's all satanic and they've got all this symbolism everywhere. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think it was a beautiful city, and they've made these roads do this, or they've added things that weren't there, or they've just taken over a symbol that was never intentional. That they never intended to put a pentagram in the street layout, right? It just, I don't know. Geometry is geometry. I don't think there's anything inherently evil about it, but they've made us fear shapes and lines. Like, oh, that's a pentagram. It's not good. I'm like, well, it's just streets. It's just roads. And I don't think in the millennial reign they were secretly putting pentagrams in the roads to anger the Lord. So that's just a takeover. It's another takeover that they've made us believe. But you're right. Like in World War II, they bombed Dresden, Germany, for no reason, and they firebombed it nightly, every night during the war, and it had no strategic value apparently during the war. So why did they have to destroy it so much? Why did they destroy Nagasaki and Hiroshima? Hiroshima and Yokohama, not Yokohama. I did it again. Nagasaki. And there's rumors that there were a lot of Christians in those places, like a lot. Like huge amounts, and that they bombed them. They just destroyed them because they could. And I even posited briefly that maybe Dresden, Germany was the New Jerusalem during the millennial reign, because it is one of the biggest and most beautiful cities during that time. And I'm not dogmatic on that, but it just seems like they really wanted to bomb that during World War II, and they utterly destroyed it. And I don't see why. So it just tells me they had a bloodlust for destroying beautiful buildings and beautiful things just because they hate the Lord.
Yeah, that's interesting. I personally wouldn't say that it was New Jerusalem, although I would agree that it probably had some like very significance to it for them to do that. And wasn't it called like Operation Millennium as well? Is that the one that you're talking about? Yep,
100%. I'm not necessarily saying it was the New Jerusalem, but I also think that it's possible that some of the Feast of Tabernacles were hosted in different cities, which is why I wonder if the cities tried to be so big and beautiful, almost like a World's Fair, to welcome this year. Paris is hosting the Feast of Tabernacles featuring King Jesus. I just feel like these towns all tried to be so beautiful and one up each other almost, that I wonder if
they wanted to beautify it when the king came, you think?
Yeah.
Or something?
They wanted to make it a destination for the Feast of Tabernacles, so that every year it was at a different city. I don't know that this is even true. The Bible says that they had to go up from year to year to the king, but it's possible that they had other religious gatherings or other things where massive amounts of people would travel to these worldly cities everywhere and see the beauty and have fellowship with each other. And so that's kind of my theory, is why Dresden had to be so destroyed, is because it was full of Christians, and or it had some significance in the millennial reign that they know about, because they utterly destroyed it. Why destroy something you can use, something so
beautiful,
big, so beautiful, and you want to scrape all the beauty off it, fine, but like, why would you destroy useful infrastructure unless you're just mad, unless you're just absolutely angry and you hate it? And so that's kind of where I get my thoughts on that. I'm not saying it was the New Jerusalem, but it seems like it was important enough to be destroyed.
And I was going to say too, like you literally need those big missiles and everything to destroy those buildings, because it's like they're pure rock, pretty much, like granite. Like if you get some
stacked rock.
Yeah. And if you get if you had some 50 cals or something, I'm like, well, you better get something bigger than that.
We're going to need a bigger gun.
Exactly. But it's that intense. So I think that since we've been going around an hour and a half now, I think that would be kind of a good, like a cutoff point, and then maybe we can cut out or go to a part 3 on the rest, because we still.
I think.
Actually, you know what?
You want to burn through it?
Yeah, if you're down, I'm down. We could just do it.
Then,
all right, sweet. So let's just do it, because if you got the time, let's just
I got the time.
All right. And lo, leading a blessed host comes one who held a warring nation in his heart, who knew love's agony but had no part in love's delight, whose mighty task was done through blood and tears, that we might walk in joy. And this day's raptures own no sad alloy, I think it's funny that they have the word rapture in there too.
Yeah, that's a very weird word to use.
It is. Especially, in our time. Maybe that's Columbia's word that she brought to the table, right?
Yeah, just teeing up the Darby Schofield.
Yeah, we're just getting started. Don't worry.
Don't worry, there's more coming.
Yeah, remember that word. We'll come back to it later.
It'll be important later.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. Around him airs of bliss, whose bright brows wear palm leaves amid their laurels ever fair. Gaily they come, as though the is that drum? That's just drum. As though the drum beat out the call their glad hearts knew so well. Brothers once more, dear as of yore, who in a noble conflict nobly fell. Their blood washed pure yon banner in the sky. Wow. And quenched the brands laid neath these arches high. The brave who, having fought, can never die.
This seems like an ode to the fallen angels. This is a little
I
they're
know.
basically they're leading the cursed host. Babylon was probably his favorite of the warring nations. Lucifer thinks that sacrifice blood and tears, that the mankind may walk in the joy of freedom or liberty. They're saying that they're basically heirs of Lucifer's bliss. The bright brows is basically saying that they're illuminated or that they're enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
The palm leaves amid their laurels ever fair. The palm leaves mixed with victory laurels is mocking Jesus because of Palm Sunday. They're basically saying, yeah, there may be palm leaves on the ground, but we're the ones wearing the victory crown.
That's like a real Roman thing too, isn't it?
Yeah, the laurels. Yeah.
Which is weird. If we're America, we just like Rome so much.
It's just new Rome. It's new Babylon, right? That's why I think Babylon might have been, one of Lucifer's favorites. And then the whole second part of it basically is talking about how the reunion of the fallen angels, describing how Lucifer is a friend to mankind and how they're being reunited. All these fallen angels are being reunited.
Yeah.
And welcome back, brothers. We fought that war. It was noble, but we lost. Basically they got kicked out of heaven. They're just admitting like, yeah, we've been bros forever and we're going to go down this one too.
Yeah. To the end.
Yeah, I mean, it says we're brave and we can never die. You can go sit in a hot lake, though.
Yeah, you can.
You probably
will.
Be
tormented, yeah. And honestly, it's, in a sense, the damage and deception and everything that they all have caused, they're not. It's like kind of like for those who have shown no mercy, neither will mercy be shown to them, in a sense.
Yeah, I think they take joy in making mankind suffer. I think they take joy in destroying God's creation, and they have no remorse. They have no guilt, and they're proud of it. And so I think one more thing about this little season is that they're here to damn themselves. They're here to build a strong case against themselves, which they are willingly doing.
Yeah, and I think of that, I think it's in Revelation as well, where it's talking about how the Lord is going to pour out his wrath without mixture. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So it's like it's not watered down. They're going to get the full potent wrath of God.
Drink deeply.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's continue. Then surging through the vastness rise once more, the aureled heirs of light, who onward bore through darksome times and Trackle's realms of ruth, the flag of beauty and the torch of truth. So she's a torch lady, if you guys remember. They tore the mask from the foul face of wrong, even to God's mysteries they dared aspire. High in the choir, they lit yon altar fire, and filled these aisles with color and with song. The ever young, the unfallen, wreathing for time, fresh garlands of the seeming vanished years. Gonna pause and because this one's kind of long right there.
Yeah, no.
That's intense right there.
Yeah.
The unfallen.
I mean, if you can't see the symbology of how this relates back to the taking over from, at the end of the millennial reign,
vanished years.
It's
Yeah,
they
they
keep,
feel like they lost it, like you said the last time.
oh, and they're so
They had
mad. They had
10
been
dead
1,000
centuries.
years.
Yeah.
They had, yeah, exactly. And that they're so proud of that. We're back. We're together again. Let's talk about our old wars. And they're just very
It's
proud
like a
of
little
it.
family reunion and they're back to business as usual. Let's deceive everyone again.
Yeah. And even to God's mysteries, they dared aspire. I mean, that's Lucifer. He wanted to sit right on God's throne. He wanted to know all the mysteries, right? And the high choir lit the altar on fire. I mean, was not Lucifer the leader of the praise? Was he not a praise angel, a singing angel? So I'm sure some in his choir got kicked with him too. So the rebellious angels set the altar on fire and got kicked down to earth.
Yeah, it's like
they're proud of it. They're giving us their resume. They're telling us who they are and what they've done.
I know, that's what I think is the craziest thing. It's just you're like reading their mail and they're just spilling their guts. It's like their diary or something.
Yeah, this is like some text we shouldn't be seeing. Like, hey, bro, I'm in the group text.
I know. Exactly.
You're saying all your secrets. You probably shouldn't do that. I think they can't help themselves. I think they are literally proud of what they've done, and I think they must still think they're right.
There are people like that, though, if you think about it. No matter what, they're just hard as a rock. And I think that's how they are. They're just hardened, like Pharaoh.
Yeah, I think people can be born straight. Seed of Satan can be born with stiff necks and hard hearts, and there's no getting through to them, and they'll never come to truth because they love their father and they're of him.
Of their father, the devil.
Yep.
All right, let's continue. Faces long, luminous, remote, sublime, and shining brows still dewy with our tears. And you said the dewy, that's kind of like rising in the morning kind of thing, right? And
yeah,
it's like waking up from sleep. Up. Yeah.
Yep. When your eyes are still dewy, you're freshly awoken, right? You're freshly illuminated.
Gotcha. Back with the old glad smile comes one we knew. We bade him rear our house of joy today. But beauty opened wide her starry way, and he passed on, bright champions of the true, soldiers of peace, seers, singers ever blessed, from the wide ether of a loftier quest. Their winged souls throng our rights to glorify, the wise who, having known, can never die. So it's like that immortal, they're trying to say like, we're immortal and nothing's going to touch us. And I don't know, maybe they kind of think that they can't die because they've never died. And so I don't know.
Well, they're probably right. They're probably not going to die, but they're probably going to wish they did.
And
that makes sense. In some way, I think they think God will repent at the end, that he won't actually go through with this. They won't all get put into the lake of fire, that if he can get enough of mankind to see it his way and to go his way, that maybe God will just forgive us all. Like that one time he spared Nineveh. And those guys were absolutely abominations because they have all those winged bulls and all that stuff. Nineveh was very much a Babylonian Akkadian city. There's no way that there were very many believers in that city. Right. So I think they think if they can drag enough of us down with them, that they'll be shielded from the wrath. And I don't see it that way because the Bible doesn't say that they have a chance. That if he's not going to forgive the fallen,
Maybe they think the Lord didn't mean it when he said that my word shall come to pass. And if I say that I'm going to do it, who's going to stop me is the attitude.
Yeah, it's like a pestilent child in the backseat of the car, and dad keeps threatening he's going to pull this car over, but he never does. It's like, dad, he's just thundering. He's just mad. He's more mad at Lucifer than at us. What did we do? What did we ever do wrong?
Right.
Well, you boasted. You boasted all this crap you did, and you put it in writing, and you praise your father, the prince of lies. So that's what you did.
Exactly. Okay, so we'll continue on. This one's another longer one. Strange splendors stream the vaulted aisles along. To these we love celestial rapture clings. There it is again. And music born on rhythm of rising wings floats from the living dead, whose breath is song. What do you think about that, real quick? Of the living dead, do you think that's
Well, my notes I put, and the rest of the dead live not until the 1,000 years were fulfilled. And
mm,
instead of the breath being the breath of life from God, they're saying no, the breath is song, right? And who was known for being a song leader? Lucifer.
yeah,
So it's like, well, you're alive now, but your breath is now Lucifer's song. It's not the breath of the Lord. You know what I mean? Like a
yeah,
takeover of that too.
right.
I
All
mean,
right,
why
let's
else would they mention the living dead? You know, and I was just like, that hit me. Well, the rest of the dead live not again. It's like they know who these people are that they're sending to war. It's the rest of the dead.
yeah, that's just such a interesting topic, and I think there's just a lot that's surrounded around that too, which I my take on it, like just after I did my study on death and the resurrection, it just seems like the rest of the dead, because that the way that it's even like ordered in the verses, the way that it's written, it can seem a little bit confusing, right? Because it's do you know what I'm talking about? Which
I
part?
will, yeah, and I'll tell you that. And I was going to use that as an example, but yeah, you're talking about how when he says, and the rest of the dead live not again till after the 1,000 year, and then he says, comma, this is the first resurrection. He's still talking about
Exactly.
the first. Well, I think a lot of people are now conflating like Revelation 21 and 22, where he talks about the dogs outside the gate and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
thinking he's saying that when there's New Jerusalem and the gates never close, somehow there's still dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers out there. That doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
when you read Revelation 20 and you see that he's describing all this, and then he says, but the rest of the dead live not again till the 1,000 years are finished. This is the first resurrection. That's not what he was saying before it is, right? And so that's why I think people are getting confused about 21 and 22, because he does a similar thing like this, where he's talking about a new thing, a future thing, but then he references an older thing, another thing as to why. So he's saying that the people who are not in the book of life are not coming into the city because they are dogs and sorcerers and
Yeah.
whoremongers, etc.
Sure.
So it's funny you bring that up, because this is exactly one of those examples where if you're not really paying attention and you don't know what's being talked about, and then they mention it again after something else, you're like, oh, is this a new thing we're talking about? No, I
Mm-hmm.
just referenced the thing I was talking about earlier. That happens in these 3 chapters of Revelation a couple of times, and I think people get confused by that. And that was one of those that really struck me, and I was like, oh, well, they're still talking about that, because it doesn't make any sense any other way.
It seems like it should be like this together right there. Like this should be in verse
Yeah,
6 or
like that
something.
and 6 should go up under 4, right?
Yeah.
And then
But
they can say, but the rest of the dead live not again.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is kind of confusing, and it's kind of wonky, I think, the way that's presented. But
And with
if you
me,
really,
I sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you really read it and you just keep it in your head what's being talked about, this little weird uh, use of language is easy to understand once you sort of get what's being talked about.
See, and this right here, something else to consider at least, just to I like to look at different angles because and something else to consider, I would say, is when it the 1,000 years were finished, um, I think a lot of assumption there too is like as soon as the 1,000 years was over, but um the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished could also I would say, because I think that that's connected to the second resurrection in a sense too, which is going to happen kind of after the little season, because there's still a lot of dead people that I guess that would be the confusion, because um if what what happens to all the people that have died since then, in a sense? You know what I mean? Like, where do they go? Because it's like, I think the way that I kind of picture it is like the first resurrection happened, but there was still people who were dead um back like in like even probably since Adam's time, right? But I'm kind of the way that I thought is that they're all dead in the ground in a sense, and then they're getting raised up in the second resurrection to either face the white throne judgment, or for like a lot of them, or maybe like I don't know how it works out for some of us. If like I was telling you, maybe I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe some of us get translated, but I don't know if death is the only way in a sense, because I'm just leaving that option open. If God's done it before, I mean, he could possibly do it again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
Well, and the
so,
fact that it's not described or discussed at all in the Bible means we'll find out. We'll
yeah,
find out at the time. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like this is the first resurrection. It would make more sense if that sentence was right after verse 4, right? Just put this is the first
yeah,
resurrection, because that's what he's describing. That then when he says the rest of the dead will not live again till 1,000 years are finished, well, does that mean that everyone that was dead instantly got reborn onto the earth all at once, or does it mean they were trickled in, right? So
hmm,
am I just the descendant of somebody who lived that was the rest of the dead, and I'm just a new descendant, or am I also one of the rest of the dead, and I was just born into the time I was
yeah,
toward the end of the Siddle season? I lean that direction personally. I'm not saying I believe in reincarnation or
yeah,
anything, but you can definitely be risen from the dead. The Bible proves that many, many
yeah,
times. And I like to think that everyone that's living through the little season now is part of this rest of the dead, which is also why I think they like abortion so much, because that will further buy them time. If it's a number of souls that have to be born into this time, Satan's probably got a good idea of how many people have probably died, and he's done the math and how long is it going to take. He's probably watching the population numbers, how they're growing. He's probably watching
yeah.
all this with
I don't,
much interest.
yeah. I don't know. I
But that's a
just,
topic for that
yeah,
topic alone we could discuss for 2 hours.
exactly. I just, in a sense, I just can't get there to like, I just can't get there to think that I like lived at another time and I rejected the Lord and now this is my second chance. Like
Well, I mean, you might
I
have been a
just,
Canaanite, right? You could have been a Mede, or you might not have been necessarily a bad person per se. You just grew up so far away, from where the Lord was really showing His works. Maybe we're antediluvian. Maybe we lived in the time of Moses, or Noah. Maybe we,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. And where did dead people go in the little season? I think they either sleep, they rest, or they go to New Jerusalem and wait for the rest of us, or wait for it to all end. I don't know. The Bible doesn't tell us, and I don't know that we're allowed to know, or that we need to worry ourselves about it.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of mystery around there, but that's just basically my take on it. But we'll
Oh, and
just
we
continue
honestly, we could talk about just those two verses alone for
forever.
probably 2 hours. Yeah,
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm sure everybody in the Little Season community could have a conversation about that ad nauseum, because we all have our own sort of take on who are the rest of the dead, who am I, who are we,
hmm,
where do you go when you die, right?
yeah,
We're back to those questions.
yeah. Square one, right?
Yeah, basically.
All right, let's continue. So, strange splendors stream the vaulted aisles along. To these we loved celestial rapture clings, and music borne on rhythm of rising wings floats from the living dead whose breath is song. Columbia, my country, dost thou hear? That's so crazy. My country, forgotten country, right?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, she's basically saying, hearken, people of America, listen, ho.
This land is your land. This land is mine. Yeah,
It's we land.
yeah. It's just crazy because all those songs even had just been driven in our heads at a young age too, about how, from sea to shining sea and all this other stuff, just we've just been trained up to idolize America.
Oh, pledging allegiance to a
Yeah.
flag?
Totally.
Awkward.
Awkward. This is awkward. All right, let's continue. Dost thou hear the songs unheard of time? Hark, for their passion trembles at thine ear. Hush, for thy soul must heed their call sublime. Across wide seas, unswept by earthly sails, those strange sounds draw thee on, for thou shalt be leader of nations through the autumn gales that wait to mock the strong and wreck the free. I think that's interesting right here.
Yeah. So,
That says a lot.
well, and earlier in this poem, it's talked about everybody put down your swords, everybody put down your shields. Let us now praise and worship Columbia, and you all get in line under her. Thank you for your help and securing the lands, etc. But now it's time for her. And if she is truly the leader of nations, which we're alleging, then
Yep.
it makes it clear who's going to lead these people to surround the camp of the saints. If it truly is this leader of nations, well,
Yeah, we're just kind of like A plus B equals C in a sense, right?
It kind of has to. Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of as simple as that. So I was thinking of this verse. I'm trying to look for it right here. Let me share this. Isaiah 14:12, where it's specifically saying right here, which didst weaken the nations.
Exactly. Apparently he's always done this, and he's known for doing this, and he'll just do it again because there's no new thing under the sun.
It's pretty accurate, bro.
There's a couple times in here where it mentions unheard songs of time, and it made me wonder if, like, even modern day music and things that we hear today, like the things you were singing, some of the songs they made us learn as kids, what if these are ancient Sumerian songs? What if these songs have been around for a long time and they're just having us chant the same old chants from you, right? Because if these songs hadn't been heard in 1,000 years because they're an abomination, right? And now they're bringing them back. And anytime it's about music or songs, it just always makes you think of Lucifer, since, he's basically like the best songwriter. God made like the most musical being, and that's him.
He had pipes in him and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, pipes. And I mean, he's a physical musical instrument. So I just feel like every time it mentions music, it just makes me think, like, how long has Satan been whispering in people's ears to make this music? And are we singing ancient Sumerian songs just with different lyrics,
Well, like I was telling you even before we got on here, the whole Phrygian cap, I was listening to a guy that was saying that might be tied to Samaria and all that stuff too.
I mean, why not? Everything.
And she's wearing it,
And she's wearing it. Because they had a lot of those ziggurats in a lot of those towns. Each Sumerian city had its own sort of entity over it, its own god or goddess. And I think it was either or Uruk. I think it was because that's where Abraham's from, right? He was from Ur.
I think so. That sounds right.
I think they, specifically had a female deity, whereas most of the other Sumerian cities had a male. So I just thought that was, and I didn't get a chance to look up her name, but that big ziggurat that they built and they fixed in Iran somewhere, I think that was supposed to be the ziggurat at where Abraham was born. So that is a female deity temple.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seems like the female deity thing has always been a thing. It's not a new thing.
Not at all.
Okay, let's continue. Dearer, more radiant than of yore, against the dark I see thee rise. Thy young smile spurns the guarded shore and braves the shadowed ominous skies. And still that conquering smile who see pledge love, life, service all to thee. I'm surprised they didn't say love, life, liberty. Exactly. I was waiting for it.
I wanted it.
I know. They didn't deliver on that one.
Lost opportunity.
I know.
No, this one's interesting because basically they're saying that we're back bigger, better, and prettier than before and more illuminated.
Hmm.
And it made me think of the woe to those that called dark light and light dark right
Exactly.
there.
Hmm.
The young smile spurns the guarded shore. This guarded shore thing is kind of goes back to that thing I was saying about how I think a lot of these lands and nations of the millennial reign were shrouded in fog or smoke or cloud or something, and they were afraid to go near them. And now that those clouds and that smoke seems to be lifting or leaving, right? They still say it's a guarded shore, and if they just found, loincloth wearing savages here, there was nothing, the shores were not being guarded. So I think that this is them being brave to go to what they perceive to be possibly still guarded shores.
Yeah, interesting. I think that what's interesting about the whole Columbus connection that I was making, and I don't know if you knew this, but Columbus, funny enough, actually is like Latin for dove. So it means like peace and stuff. So
Of course it does.
it means peace, exactly. So you got that too, man.
Yeah. Get
So
out of here.
I know. So you're gonna continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alrighty. Oh, where I was going with that is that the whole Columbus and Columbia is that I think that they were possibly, not guarded, but they actually had their guard down because maybe the prophetess or the goddess showed up and fulfilled their prophecies, and who knows? That's a thought I've had too, if that makes sense.
That's going to give me some thought tonight for sure.
Yeah, something to chew on. That's something I've been thinking about. The years have brought thee robes most fair, the rich processional years. And is that filleted?
Filleted.
I mean, it looks like the word fillet, right?
It really does.
Okay, so
Unless it's misspelled.
yeah. And filleted thy shining hair, and zoned thy waist with jewels rare, and whispered in thine ears strange secrets of God's wondrous ways, long hid from human awe and praise. Is that like that mystery school stuff again, right? The secrets of the mysteries.
Yeah, I mean they're describing the long years again, and now look, you're beautiful. You're being readorned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like it's your time to shine again.
Yeah.
Bring your forbidden knowledge once more.
For lo, the living doth bear his arm. No more he makes his house of clouds and gloom. Lightly the shuttles move within his loom. Unveiled his thunder leaps to meet the storm. From God's right hand man takes the powers that sway a universe of stars.
So this is the part that really got me in this entire poem. This is that part where the living God is like basically showing his hand. He's removing the clouds. He's removing the gloom. He's removing whatever obfuscated the millennial reign lands and kingdoms. And that's what they're moving toward, right? They're seeing that those veils are lifting, those clouds are going away, and they're moving in to do their evils. And
that's interesting because even in the Old Testament, there's a lot of cloud references with the Lord. And
yeah, I mean, they followed him by day as a pillar of smoke, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just there's so much imagery here about how the clouds are falling or the gloomy shores. It's almost like they were unseeable before. And I liked reading this because it kind of gives me hope again that, well, if when the millennial reign ended, all the obfuscation and the smoke and the clouds, it failed and they were able to see the lands, then I think the same thing might happen at the end of the little season where the clouds and the smoke and whatever's obfuscating land of Jesus, camp of the saints, like that, those clouds and that smoke is going to start to fade away as well. Right. This gives me hope that that's how it went down then and that's how it will go down now.
Yeah, maybe that was, if there was a veil on all the lands, as you're suggesting too, is that was maybe of the Lord's doing to release Satan, but not make his job so easy at first, maybe. Who knows?
and give his people time to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't make it easy. Don't let the heathens and the other nations see that your house is empty and swept, right? Because they're going to send seven more evil.
Right.
Yeah, this is just kind of a new thing that's been kind of weighing on me, is that it does seem like these lands were probably hidden and nobody knew how to get there unless you were a part of the millennial reign. And now that all that's faded, it could fade again. Whatever was left of the millennial reign, maybe it just went and
it's like all of the lands are being unveiled, and then maybe the land of Jesus is like the last one or
the
something.
last one, and that's what I'm hoping to see in my lifetime, is that or fire or both. I'll take any of it.
I'd love to see that day where I can see that land for sure. Okay, so let's continue. Unless, did you have anything more on that? Were you going to say something else about it?
No, it's all fallen, fallen star, the universe of stars, and from God's right hand, man takes the powers, so basically God's right hand is Jesus. So if man through Lucifer, we're taking that power, right? Because there's a vacuum now, because apparently Jesus is gone, right? Allegedly, right. At least according to them. So that's kind of my thought on this matter, is that they're saying this fallen legion, this fallen angels, is a universe of stars, and there they go with universe, right? So now we're starting to introduce more heliocentric.
In a sense, I'm like wondering, now that we're kind of like fleshing through this too, is just like, it's almost like they're doing their wickedness and then they realize like nothing's happening. Like we don't have the rod of iron that's whipping us into shape or something. And then, so now they're like getting more bold and stuff. And now they're saying, well, I guess God approves what we're doing. He approves our undertaking. So we're just going to keep doing it.
Exactly.
Or something. I don't know. It's crazy.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Think about, man. Yeah, it's good to just, have these conversations and just kind of flesh things out in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, you can only think in a vacuum so much, and I mean, I have my wife to talk to about all this stuff, but it's good to have other people too, because everyone's got different ideas and they've read different books, they've seen different movies, they've read different, they remember different scripture that might be,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I absolutely love these conversations, because it's healthy and it's good, and we should all have these conversations with one another.
Yeah, for sure.
Iron sharpening iron, and that,
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so he bows them down. He bids them go or stay. He tames them for his wars. He scans the burning paces of the sun and names the invisible orbs whose courses run through the dim deeps of space. There you go. Yep. Whatever that is. He sees in dew upon a rose impearled the swarming legions of a monad world begin life's upward race. So what's monad?
So I noticed that he sees dew upon a rose imperiled. So basically like, a stabbed through rose with dew on it, right? The awakening. But a monad is an invisible supreme entity to the Pythagoreans, right? Because the Pythagoras was actually the leader of a cult. And he did very little math, actually. So I don't know why they taught us in school that he was a math guy. But a monad is like this invisible supreme entity to them. They think that the world is just made of, like, maybe in Star Wars this would be like the Force or the midichlorians, if you're a Star Wars nerd. But it's basically just legions of fallen the fallen angels and demons is a monad world. So it's basically just a world wrought with their evils.
Yeah, and what's interesting, what I saw in a lot of like their writings and stuff too, just recently, is you probably heard of Providentia or Providence. They often are like writing to Providence, but Providence is actually another goddess as well. So
we have a lot of Providence related language in our legal code and in
exactly. But that's what it is. That's what it's based off of. Providence. It's Providentia. It's like that, like your road is being blessed in a sense, or whatever. Like yes. That's their destiny in a sense. Like we're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a blessed gift of bounty, or it's almost like destiny. Providence is like, it's almost you demand it, like you almost it's an entitlement, I should say.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because when I was looking into the manifest destiny and some other people writing about it, and then just that providence came up, and I was like, man, they're just like talking about providence as if it's like their god as well or something, like it's another god they're praying to.
Yeah, it probably is, because it probably is a real power and principality.
Yeah, and notice how it's like even that name, it's real flowery and fluffy, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna provide a way. Voices of hope he hears, long dumb to his despair, and dreams of golden years meet for a world so fair. So is that the golden age?
Exactly. The long dumb years, right? So basically the 1,000 years he was locked in darkness, just
Mm-hmm.
dreaming of what he was going to do when he gets out, or maybe even just dreaming of the Babylonian days, or whatever his most evil time was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Which,
right.
and I like this next line, which is basically he's saying that he's dreaming of these golden years. Now he is meet for a world so fair. He's ready, he's prepared
Mm-hmm.
for this delicious, innocent world for him to go and get his claws in and destroy.
Mm-hmm. Defile
With
it.
defile it, take ownership of it, ruin it. Yeah.
And then, yeah, this word here, for now democracy doth wake and rise from the sweet sloth of youth. So what's interesting too, when I looked into like the Columbia and the goddess, there was something that I saw where it was legit. And even if you look at the old um, Amaru Khan, it's like a double-headed eagle thing, and that's where we get that from too. Was from the original Amaruka, and that
And
was.
that double-headed phoenix, eagle, whatever it's supposed to
Mhm.
be. I mean, it's in Germany. It's in so many nations. It's on crests. That double-headed thing is everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, and so that had a lot to do with the whole like two sides that act like they're going against each other, but they're actually working together.
The same body, two heads, and
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
And this whole democracy, I'm pretty sure that democracy itself was just apostate in the millennial kingdom. Like
Mm,
you didn't do democracy. You did feudalism. You did kingship, right?
yeah,
So democracy, I think, is an absolute abomination to the way you should rule man.
yeah, I agree. All right, let's continue. By storms made strong, by many dreams made wise, he clasps the hand of truth. Through the armed nations lies his path of peace, the open book of knowledge in his hand.
I
Food,
notice it's the book of knowledge and not the book of life.
right, the book of enlightenment.
Yeah, exactly.
Food to the starving, to the oppressed released, and love to all he bears from land to land. There's that love again.
Yeah.
Just love. I believe in love. Love
Love conquers
supreme.
all.
Yeah. Love shall be supreme. Before his march, the barriers fall. The laws grow gentle at his call. His glowing breath blows far away the fogs that veil the coming day, that wondrous day when
This
earth.
is what I'm saying about that veil again. They keep talking about the
Yeah,
cloudy veil. And
exactly.
up here, I noticed when he mentions this food to the starving, to the oppressed release, this reminds me of that motto of the Oddfellows.
Mm-hmm.
The Oddfellows were basically like the Masons that moved children around for the orphan trains.
Mm-hmm.
So they typically were known for being involved with like orphanages and stuff. And their motto is it's something like feed the orphan, clothe the widow, and bury the dead. Like that's their motto. And I just thought that's interesting that they mentioned the food for the starving and to the oppressed release. Like it's the same thing. They're saying, let's show our love by feeding people that, we've starved, and let's bury people that we've killed, and let's soothe and comfort the widow whose husband we slayed. It's
Exactly.
it's just gross.
I
Go
know.
on, brother. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good, bro. Before his march, the barriers fall. Oh, wait. No, we were down here on that veil. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, sorry, I
Yeah.
stopped you at the veil.
Yeah. So let me read through that again from right here. And we'll read through to the end of that sentence. His glowing breath blows far away the fog that veil the coming day, that wondrous day when earth shall sing as through the blue she rolls, laden with joy for all her thronging souls. I think that's when, honestly, I feel like they feel like that's when they're fully going to be liberated in their death. Doesn't that seem like it?
Yeah, they've definitely embraced
It's like
it.
like they're embracing it or something.
Yeah,
That wondrous
they
day.
must really think there's something good for them at the end of that.
Yeah, they're deceived. That's crazy. All right, let's continue. Then shall want's call to sin resound no more. Across her teeming fields, a pain shall sleep, soothed by brave science with her magic lore. And war no more shall bid the nations weep. Then the worn chains shall slip from man's desire, and ever higher and higher his foot shall aspire. Still deeper and more deep his soul its watch shall keep, till love shall make the world a holy place, where knowledge dares unveil God's very face.
The blasphemy.
Mm-hmm. The magic lore. What do you have about that in your notes?
You've got soothed by brave science with her magic lore. I mean, that whole line just explains to you what science is. Science falsely so called, right? Pharmakia, etc.
It's like almost like their science is magic.
Yeah. I mean, it's one and the same in my opinion, and they're admitting that. Right?
Yeah, because even the pharmakia stuff, it's like they're poisoning us, and then they have
different poison to soothe the other poison.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like controlled poison in a sense.
Well, they make you pay for it too. They make you beg for it. Go get an appointment so you can beg your doctor for more poison, please.
Yeah, that's crazy when you think about it that way, right? So what about and war no more shall bid the nations weep?
Well, they've not done a very good job at that one because it's been constant war. So I think that's just a false campaign promise. But the worn chains shall slip from man's desire, like the desire to be ruled by a king will just fade away, right? And we'll just aspire higher and higher. It's just Tower of Babylon again.
That's what I was thinking, and ever higher and higher is just kind of like what I was saying. I don't even know if we were talking about this before or after, but like we've been unbabbled.
Yeah, the Babel chains are off.
Yeah.
So this whole thing here to me is just how love is replacing God's grace and how knowledge uncovers God's face. That's kind of the notes I put for the last two lines on that one.
That's spot on, I think. All right, let's continue. Not yet the angels hear life's last sweet song. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like they've embraced it. It's like, okay, this is our last goodbye in a sense.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll continue that and then we'll comment on it. But that's just interesting that it's saying life's last sweet song. Music unutterably pure and strong from earth shall rise to haunt the peopled skies when the long march of time, patient in birth and death, in growth and blight, shall lead man up through happy realms of light unto his goal sublime.
It's illumination, and it's leading man to attack God, growing man in wisdom and in enlightenment, and just leading him to attack God. Basically, is how I read the last few lines of this. That's what the utter goal. That's what the ultimate goal is, right?
Right.
Because it's what the last thing mankind will ever do.
Yeah. Did you? That kind of reminds me. Like right here, even on the Enlightenment, right here, you got like this Darwinistic thing, and it's like Enlightenment, and then the clock is on midnight.
Yep, time's up. Midnight. Yep. And there's a burning house behind his ear, and there was an owl back here too. I don't know if you saw, but like behind, even up and behind this, there was an owl on the wall, just a Moloch worship, just.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's what they want. Get everybody enlightened, and then you'll fight for enlightenment. You'll fight for your land, not your creator.
Exactly. And then so here we go. By name, Columbia. Men beheld thee rise, a goddess from the misty sea, lady of joy, sent from the skies. The nations worshipped thee. Thy brows were flushed with dawn's first light, by foamy waves with stars' bedlight. Thy blue robe floated free. Now let the sun ride high o'erhead, driving the day from shore to shore. His burning tread we do not dread. Thou art evermore, Lady of love, whose smile shall bless, whom brave deeds win to tenderness, whose tears the lost restore. Lady of hope thou art. Really?
She's been described as love, and oh my gosh,
It sounds like Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Yeah, there's
the
a Lady
Queen
of
of
Hope.
Heaven.
Yeah, exactly. The Catholics, they like their Lady of Hope too.
Yeah, the lady. Yeah, we wait with courage thy serene command. So it's almost as if, like I said now, like there's going to be another war, and it's almost as if we're just waiting, like they're waiting with courage for her to say when, in a sense. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a rally call. My love will be great, and I'll be kind to you, but you got to be patient until I give you my command.
That's right.
This whole thing, she's just talking about how she came out of the seed. Is she a siren? Does that make her part of the marine kingdom? But then it says that she fell from the sky, so she's definitely a fallen angel. The blue robe floated free. Is that death? Is that the Indian demons are blue?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like some of this, the colors and stuff don't make sense unless they're trying to map that red, white, and blue.
That's what I was wondering about the banner colors, maybe.
Yeah, because if you notice, all the countries that have red, white, and blue are all very powerful countries, and they all pretend to hate each other, but we're all friends. Like Russia has red, white, and blue. There's so many nations that have red, white, and blue in their colors, and those colors have to mean something to someone.
Right.
So I think if she's the leader of nations, red, white, and blue are her banners, and all banners below her are also red, white, and blue.
Those are like the main locations, maybe, right?
Yeah, they show fealty, they show loyalty. It's another thing we could talk about probably for 2 hours, but the whole red, white, and blue thing, because it's been freaking me out how many countries have red, white, and blue in their.
I know. I was thinking about that too, bro. I was thinking about that too. Seriously,
that's awesome.
All right, let's continue. Through unknown seas, toward undreamed fate, we ask thy guiding hand. On, though sails quiver in the gale, thou at the helm, we cannot fail. Onto God's time-veiled strand, Lady of beauty, thou shalt win glory and power and length of days. The sun and moon shall be thy kin, the stars shall sing thy praise. All hail, we bring thee vows most sweet, to strew before thy winged feet. Now, onward be thy ways.
There you have it. I mean,
it's a mouthful.
Well, they're all swearing fealty. They're all laying down their offerings at her feet. They're all on board. All the fallen angels, all her old kin and friends, and they're saying that you'll be kins with the moon and the sun. Just showing that she's equal with them in power.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, they talk about how God's time-veiled strand, right? So who knows how long the land of Jesus will be veiled, right? Time veiled is interesting. So it indicates that it is a length of time and nothing else.
Time veiled.
Yeah. Yeah. This poem has so many nuggets and hubris and boasting, and This is going to be their undoing. It's always their symbols and their hubris.
Yeah, that's interesting. Again, that's the second time they mentioned a wing feet.
Yeah, like I say, that's Mercury. That's why can I never remember the Greek one? Anyway, it's the winged feet guy, Mercury, and his other name I said it earlier in the video, Hermes.
Hermes.
Hermes and Mercury, right? So she must have something to do with them as well, or she has taken their position if those particular fallen are no longer available for whatever reason.
I was wondering too, there was a little thing up here that I was seeing as if that was like she's like taking all the power, like you said, like kind of how the Wonder Woman is portrayed, where she's like a combination of all of them now, and now she's like, I don't know, is that even possible to where it's that stuff like that happens? I don't know. It's crazy to
Well,
think about.
I don't know if maybe they're doing a different strategy this time, if different powers and principalities are given a shot now.
Yeah.
I mean, but she claimed to be the new messenger. She claimed she basically in this poem is saying that she is Hermes. She is Mercury. She has become the herald of God.
Mm-hmm. And she's also Diana.
She's
the queen of heaven. And it's interesting right there, a goddess from the sea.
Yeah.
That's very crazy to me. And that's probably my guess is, you think where the Lord is. So if New Jerusalem did touch down there in the land of Jesus, there's no sea. But now, okay, so there's no sea there. So in our time, we're going to be ruled by a goddess from the sea, and we're going to be ruled by maritime law and all this other nonsense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so if that's Marine Kingdom, and she's admitting that she's part of that, even though she came from the sky, right? She's still from the sea. So it's just admission. And like I say, I think a lot of these words and phrases are dog whistles to people who understand it more.
They understand the language.
A lot of esoteric nods and winks to things. Remember that time we set that altar on fire? Remember? I think God kicked us out of heaven for that, but that was a good time. We should get together again and do. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like this is such a personal thing that means things, because the average American, if there were even Americans at that time, half this stuff doesn't make any sense. Like, wait, I thought we just came over on a boat and bought a bunch of land from the French and the British. Like, what is all this stuff you're talking about? So I think these people knew what this stuff meant.
Yeah. And even that, look, the nations worshipped thee. That's interesting.
Yeah, like the nations of old. Yeah, I think that at one point she was very much, she was veneer.
She's Diana.
She was Diana. I mean, great is Diana of the Ephesians, right? So, I mean, she had whole cities worshiping. She had whole industries that were making little figurines of her. So, I think there's a lot more
that whole thing that I brought up to you about when I sent you those videos about the Lord of the Rings series with when Sauron says, I have many names. Remember?
Yeah, exactly. Right. We are legion and I think when you're that old and you've been here that long, especially if you want to trick two different sets of people, you just give yourself a slightly different name. You put a Dagon hat on, or, you wear his fish clothes or whatever, like we talked about last time.
Yeah.
It's hard to know how many there actually are. There could just be one and they go around and they pretend to be every god, or there actually are so many,
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to say this too, that I thought was interesting, because she's the moon goddess, but even now, let the sun ride high o'erhead. So that's almost like that Apollo reference that I had mentioned about what if like Apollo's no more, because now you just got this one.
Yeah, it's hard for me to figure that out too, because I just don't understand what the hierarchy of powers and principalities even looks like, let alone how is Lucifer filling these empty positions that you must have to have in order to keep a nation running? You must have to have all these layers, or they're just winging it, right? They're just giving one goddess to each big land mass and hoping for the best. I don't know. Maybe that's, and I've been saying this for a while. I think Satan's house is very divided, and I think some of these wars are real. I think some of these powers of principalities still want power more than they have or more than their neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
I think his house is divided and it's falling apart, and they're warring amongst themselves. The Democrats are warring amongst themselves, and the Republicans are warring with each other. And it's just like Satan's house is so divided that all of this stuff is failing. And I don't know how they're keeping any of this stuff together.
Or maybe they're not divided and it just looks like they are.
I think they are.
It's a possibility.
It just seems like the warnings about don't let your house get divided, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I see is infighting amongst them. It's greed, it's avarice.
I just kind of thought that, like, if how the Lord said, like, if Satan's kingdom was divided, how shall his kingdom stand? Which, to me,
I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I think when I read that, he's saying, how can Satan's house stand if it's divided? Right?
Gotcha.
I think he was giving us a little nod that Satan's house is going to be divided. And if you think about it, it's just like the mafia. The only way you get ahead in the mafia is you either kill your boss or he gets killed and goes to jail and you move up. Right. So you can't trust anybody in the mafia, especially if they're below you, because all they're going to do is either try to steal from you on the side or kill you so they can move up.
Yeah, it's really cutthroat business.
So I have to imagine that all these fallen angels, they're loyal to Lucifer, okay, because he's probably the most powerful, but that doesn't mean they're loyal because they want to be. They're loyal out of fear or whatever. That doesn't make them any less likely to go do treachery or to go do evil. So I really do think his house is divided, especially in this time. It's all falling apart. I don't think he has the power to hold it together, which is just one more way he's going to fail.
Right.
Well, this was an awesome, awesome discussion as always. And
we gave the people a little bit longer one today, but we had to get through it though, right? I think it was better that we just knocked it out. But there's just a lot of stuff to chew on in that for sure.
Well, I've got a lot more things to think about. I'm going to investigate a couple of new topics because of this series of discussion. I've thought about a lot of other things I'd like to look into. So
definitely,
I appreciate it, man. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, me too, bro. And so if you don't have anything else, then we'll just sign out.
Thanks everyone for being patient and listening to this whole series and listening to me talk too fast and shiny bald head and everything. So appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the comment section.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. God bless. And remember to question the narrative.
Beautiful, beautiful is our God. Beautiful, beautiful is his holy mountain. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised, in the city of our God and his holy mountain. The city of the great King is well planted on the mountains of Zion, with the joy of the whole earth on the sides of the north. Beautiful in its habitation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, the city of the great King. Beautiful. God is known in her palaces when he undertakes to help her forth. Behold, the kings of the earth were assembled, they came together. They saw and so they wondered, they were troubled, they were moved. Trembling took hold on them. There were the pangs as of a woman in travail. Beautiful in its habitation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion on the sides of the north. Beautiful, beautiful is our God. Beautiful, beautiful is His holy mountain. That will break the ships of Tarsus with the vehement wind. As we have heard, so have we also seen in the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God. God has founded it forever. We have thought of thy mercy, O God, in the midst of thy people, according to thy name, O God, so is also thy praise to the ends of the earth. Thy right hand is full of righteousness, beautiful in its habitation. The joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, the city of the great King. Beautiful, beautiful is our God. Beautiful, beautiful is His holy mountain. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah exult because of thy judgment, O Lord. Go round about Zion and encompass her. Tell ye her towers, mark ye well her strength, and observe her palaces, that ye may tell the next generation. For this is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide forevermore. Beautiful in its habitation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, the city of the great King.